Welcome everyone to today's product update webinar brought to you by Pia. I'm Ranju, part of the product team here at Pia, and I'm joined by Aaron, our CTO. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Good to be here. We've got a lot of updates for people.
Yes, we have. Aaron's here is going to take us to all the latest and greatest features available in Pia today, covering the last 6 months of development. Let's get started. Before we begin, just basic housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, so you can download it later and revisit any parts you might have missed. And also feel free to ask questions throughout the session. We will try and answer as many as we can. We have also allocated some time towards the end to go through all the questions. Yep. Now, before we begin, let's talk a little bit about Pia's history. Now I know that Pia was born out of an MSP. It was built to solve the problem of that linear growth where a lot of MSPs face when they're growing and they're trying to support like multiple endpoints without having to increase their staff. They want to do more with less resources. What was the thought process, Aaron, when you started with Pia?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was probably, it'll be over 5 years ago now, we started building it at the MSP I was at the time, which is now our sister company, Virtual IT Group. But yeah, we basically had a view of growing that service desk and growing the number of clients that we could service without necessarily needing to keep adding headcount. So that was super important then. It's still super important now, incidentally. That has not changed. But what has changed is the technology now available. And of course, in that 5-year period, the growth of what we've seen in Pia just continues to get better and better at what we can do and achieve in that way, in that front. So yeah, definitely excited to go through this session today for updates for people. This is going to make sense, I think a lot of sense for people who are using Pia. It will also help people who maybe aren't using Pia, who are jumping on this call and looking at this and thinking, what's this all about? What are they doing? So yeah, very excited to go through this.
Yep. It's always great to hear that story. And like you said, now Pia, fast forward to today, Pia has grown immensely. And what we're about to showcase today is part of that original vision into action. So without waiting any further, let's get started. Let's quickly go through the agenda. Like I said, we do have heaps of updates for you guys. We do have updates in all areas of the platform so that you get the best version of Pia. We have new integrations we're going to talk about. We have exciting new triage features and new automations. And I know some of the smart forms updates that we've done is surely going to make some of our partners really happy. And we've got more updates in different areas we're going to cover towards the end, and we're not done. We're still working on it, so we're going to give you like a little sneak peek on where Pia's headed into next. So that's going to be awesome. Let's get started. So let's actually start with the new integrations. Over the past couple of months, past 6 months, we have worked with some really awesome vendors, and starting with the first one is SureWeb. So for some of our partners who are already using SureWeb as their cloud service provider, you can now use Pia's user onboarding and user offboarding and manage user license automations to provision and deprovision or perform license procurement through SureWeb CSP. This is one of the CSP integrations that we've done this year. But we in the past we have integrated with Paxate, Ingram, Ripe, and Dicadata. So SureWeb has just been added into that list. The second one we've got is Cloud Radio. We're going to cover a bit more about Cloud Radio in our later slides where we're going to talk about talk about smart forms. But Cloud Radio, you can now use smart forms with Cloud Radio Portal within Cloud Radio Portal and give your customers a single ticketing experience without having to give them like multiple links. The third one we've got is Nilier. Now we've noticed that some of our partners that use ConnectWise ticketing system also use Nilier. So we wanted to make sure that Pia supported Nilier's like enhanced ticketing experience so that you're not getting any issues using Pia. And the last one we've got is Cisco Duo. also, again, with Duo, we're going to cover a bit more about Duo in our a bit later when we're talking about automations. But we did notice that not all partners were using, Microsoft MFA. Some of them were also using Duo, so we wanted to support them as well. So we've integrated with them, and we've created some new automations that you can use for identity management via Duo. Yeah. So let's move on to our next bit, which is triage. Before we begin with, the updates on triage, I've got a few questions for you, Aaron. So
Yeah.
can you tell us, a bit of history about AI triage and how we got to where we are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched, I mean, we've had a version of triage in the product for, I think it's been about 3 years now. And so we've had partners using different versions of that. It looked like a custom automation to start with. We actually launched a first class AI triage functionality in the platform in November last year in 2024. So it's been, I'll say, 9 months since we launched that, and we've had huge amount of feedback. People getting in and using that functionality and giving us what they want to see in updates for that. So over that period of time, we've been working away on updating this and really making this a feature that works with broadly across all MSPs, but also that they can customize to their needs. We understand that MSPs all function differently. Triage is the same process in a sense, like dispatch triage for each MSP, but we want to make sure that we can cater to as in depth as you want to go and advanced as you want to go in configuring a triage. So yeah, that's what we're going to take people through, some of those updates, Ranju.
Yeah. So let's talk about, how we've used that feedback into our latest update.
Okay,
Can you
awesome. So
elaborate? Yeah.
yeah, so the first thing would be that we have increased. So we have this dispatch feature in AI triage. The purpose of dispatch is to allow you to, looking at tickets and data about those tickets as they're coming in, to allow you to make decisions about those tickets and what you want to do with those tickets, whether that's routing them to someone, whether that's setting a team, whether that's setting a queue or a board on the ticket, setting the status, setting the priority, all those kinds of things. And so one of the key things about doing that is the ability to create rules where you can specify those human rules intents within this system using conditions and actions. So if we open up the new dispatch rule, we have expanded the conditions available and the actions available. We now have 25 of these in here, and we're also increasing these as we get the feedback as well. In addition to conditions and actions, we have also introduced dispatch rule sets. So that one is effectively an advanced feature. If you're using triage to describe your dispatch and triage rules in here, you may keep it simple and you might only have a few. If you do want to go more advanced, though, we have the option to create them these rule sets. And so you can create a set of rules. You might have a set of rules for setting the priority. If you've got like 3 or 4 different rules for priority, you might have a rule set for setting the team on the ticket or setting the status. So you can kind of be very structured with how you set this up. In addition to dispatch rule sets, we did make advancements on our AI, right? So one of the key things here about AI triage is that we're not just making decisions about tickets using the data as it comes in. We're analyzing the data and we're enriching the data of the ticket that's coming in so that you can create conditions and dispatch based on that data enrichment. And that's using AI to do that, right? So an example of that is the classification of the ticket. So we read, as every ticket comes into the ticketing system, we read the subject and the body of the ticket, and we classify it into a set of categories that we have built into our classification model. That has we've increased the accuracy of that. So the accuracy and the confidence of that has increased. We continue to do more work on that as well. But we should be seeing, we've seen partners getting better results, more tickets being classified out of that process. In
That's
addition to
awesome.
that, yeah, and in addition to that, we're also launching with Platform 19, which people are going to start getting in the next couple of weeks. We've launched sentiment analysis. So that's the ability for when your ticket comes in, highly requested feature actually. But when a ticket comes in, if the ticket, if someone says, I'm not happy, I'm angry, or they're angry typing, we can say, well, that's a negative sentiment, and therefore you create a dispatch rule and say, if it's a negative sentiment, increase the priority of the ticket or escalate it to someone, right? So some extra functionality there that allow you to automate your dispatch and triage more effectively using the sentiment of the ticket. We do also have, one extra thing we have here is triage extensions as well. That's quite a big feature, triage extensions.
Ooh, triage extensions. So yeah, let's actually talk about triage extensions. Is it different to the automation extension automations that we have? Um, could you tell us how they fit into the overall, vision of triage?
Yeah. So and for anyone who's using Pia, if you're writing automations and you're familiar with how to customize some of the standard automations that Pia provides, you'd be familiar with extension automations. Extension automations allow you to plug in extra steps into the existing automation flows that Pia has, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel and write like the user onboarding from scratch. You can just plug in the bits that you want to add to the existing flows. So with triage, we have done the same thing. So now with triage, obviously you can achieve a lot with the dispatch functionality and the stamping functionality of triage. But in addition to that, you can create triage extensions. So if you want to do more, you can create effectively a fully custom automation to do that with triage. And Ranger's just opened up where the settings are in the ticket ingestion settings section of AI triage. And we can actually see some examples here of using triage extensions and how you could use these. So going through some of these examples, you might create a triage extension to, when the ticket comes in, read the body of the ticket. And if the body of the ticket is summarize it using, GPT, like LLM, go out to an AI to do that. If the summary is better than the current subject of the ticket, replace the subject of the ticket. So that's summarizing the ticket to replace the subject of the ticket. You might have a triage extension that does that. You might also build a triage extension to go out and ask AI, like an LLM, for a better priority assessment of the ticket. So assess the priority of the ticket, provide your reasoning, and create a ticket note and put the reasoning of why AI thinks this ticket is a P2, right?
Yep.
And actually put that on the note. You might also use this to do catch-all handling or spam handling. So, for tickets that come in that aren't matching to a company, you might automatically create a triage extension to automatically map them to a company as well. So there's some examples of what you could do, and this is really powerful because we're an automation first platform, and so every time we do something, we give you the full ability to customize it to the level that you need, even if we don't have necessarily a button in the interface to turn it on. So this is quite powerful.
Yeah, it is. So, all these examples that you just talked about, Aaron, are these ready to go to our partners, or has there been any do we have any partners using it now?
That's a good question. So yes, they're not just examples. You can see them; they're actually in there. We aren't making these available straight away, but we will be making them available by the end of the year. So while people can build their own extensions, we have some really powerful extensions that we want to release to everyone. We set out to build these like, there's a bundling extension, there's a catch-all handler, there's a ticket summarization, priority handling. So we've got all these extensions that we do want to release. We just want to get them right first. We're at the point now though where we've actually got one of the largest MSPs in the US currently running some of these a version of these advanced extensions in their triage process, and they're using them to triage hundreds of tickets a day. So that's working for them.
That's great.
So yeah, when we get the final version of that's going to work for everyone, we will be releasing that in the coming months. Absolutely.
Yep. Well, that's an exciting news. All
Absolutely.
right. Yeah. Now moving forward, let's go to some more updates. Let's talk about what's new in the automation space. Now this is one of my favorite updates because I got to be a part of, what we all of these enhancements that we did. So this is a breakdown of what we worked on so far, and we're going to go through each of them so you know how each of them work. So let's start with multi-client agent support. Um, Previously, we allowed our partners to have like one-on-one relationship between an agent and their client, so that only a single client could use a single agent. But now we allow a single agent to be linked to multiple client, allowing multiple clients to share resource. Isn't that correct, Aaron?
Yeah, the use case here is, and one of the philosophies we have with Pia is that when you're automating with Pia, you're automating, with the goal to automate all of your clients as an MSP. If you were just building a single automation that's isolated, doesn't work for any other client or any other environment supported scenario, it's no better than using something like Power Automate, right? One
True.
of the huge advantages of using Pia is this fully integrated experience that is targeted towards the needs and goals of MSPs. And so one of the huge components of this is environment support, right? Writing an automation that doesn't just work on a cloud-only customer, but works across cloud-only, prem-only, semi-hybrid, and so on. We do also have these different client types, these relationship types that we support. You might have clients that have parent-child relationships, a real estate company with a head office, the subsidiaries use the same network as the head office. You've got client profiles will help you measure a client that's got two networks, like a school with a teacher and a student network. And we now have this multi-client agent support option, which actually closes the loop on our full environment support now as well. So whether you're supporting, and we know MSPs deal with clients that look different, right? They're never the same. So we definitely want to support as many of these options as possible. I did see someone emote in the chat. When people are happy about something, specific things, it'd be cool to see some hearts in there as well.
Yeah.
Tell us what your favorite stuff is in this update, right? We want to hear what people are excited about as well. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's move on to our second automation update, which is, we finally have our chatbot embedded into Hello PSA. So previously we did have a Chrome extension, which is still useful now. You can choose between the Chrome extension or or the embed, but you have the full-fledged experience of using Pia in your Hello ticketing system. Aaron, do you want to, explain a bit more about this one, please?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
We've definitely got people going back and forth between the ConnectWise and Halo experience,
Yeah.
and now the Halo one is embedded right in the ticket. So for anyone using Halo, that's a huge win.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is Integration Gateway update. Now, I think Integration Gateway is a fairly new feature in Pia, and we did, but it has been one of our key features to support our integrations. Aaron, would you explain a little bit about this one as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're writing custom automations in Pia, then and if you're integrating with third-party systems, you can do that with the integration gateway, right? We launched this, I think, about 12 months ago now. We want to keep improving this experience for people. We've done two things to improve this. One is we've made it easier for people to store their own API credentials in here. So we store the secrets for my custom automation. We just made that a little bit easier. But we have also introduced this new client configuration mode. So this is useful for scenarios where you've got an integration and it has a set of API credentials, right? But you might have different credentials per client, right, that you need to store and manage. So we now allow for these things called configurations. You can store these different sets of credentials. So if you're doing Duo, for example, it's an API set of credentials for client A, a different one for client B, a different one for client C. The important thing about this is when you're building a custom automation, you don't need to worry about, I've been talking to client A's API, am I talking to client B's? The platform handles that for you. So it does make it easier to build custom automations, and integrating with these third-party systems.
That's really awesome. Now let's move on to the next one, which is custom delegate consent. I know this feature is surely going to make a lot of our partners really happy because we got a lot of feedback on this one. We got a lot of requests to make this available. So previously, Pia only, because we only made like few of the scopes available because Pia's built-in automation only required like few permissions. But as more and more of our partners are getting into developing their own custom automations, they need more permissions than what we originally offered. So we are introducing this new custom delegate consent feature where you can actually select from a lot more commonly used scopes, and you can give more permissions to your automations, and you can so that your automations can do more.
Absolutely, yeah. This is well said. This is very hotly requested by people building custom automations, and this should make it a lot easier. We get this question quite a lot. How do I give Pia more access to do more to my clients' environments? Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next one, which is my favorite. New automations. We've got heaps of new automations, as you can see. We've got 5 chatbot automations, 4 smart forms automations, and 2 more AI AutoStat automations.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we'll talk through some of these. Some are a bit more obvious than other ones, what they're doing and how they work, but perhaps the use case. But definitely, I want to talk about a couple of them. So, challenge user identity. This one is great for service desks. Obviously receiving calls. Someone calls up, says, "Hi, my name's John. Can you reset my password?" If you don't know who John is, you probably want to say, "Okay, prove that you are John before I reset your password." So with this new automation, you can now do this. You run challenge user identity from the Pia chatbot, and you can send them a code via SMS using the number in the system, and they have to read the code back out to you. That proves that they are John. You can send an SMS to their manager. You can even send an MFA prompt on their MFA authenticator app on their phone. So, they just have to have the Microsoft Authenticator app, and you can actually get them to approve that notification, and then that will verify their identity as well. So we do also have challenge user identity. We have that for Duo as well with the Duo support we've rolled out, and I think we also have an extension for it, don't you?
Yes.
So people can put that into their password reset automation. So every time you run a password reset, you must challenge user identity first if you choose to do that as well.
Yeah. And then the extension is also there so that you don't have to run 2 separate automations, right? You can just plug it into your current, automation, your custom automation or built-in automations, and then you can just run it.
Yep, absolutely. And in addition to challenge user identity, so we've got the additional support for Duo for resetting MFA auth methods. So if someone calls up and says, "I can't log in," you can reset their MFA. That complements the existing reset MFA we have for Microsoft Auth. We do have the ability now as well. We have an automation for recreating an Outlook Mail profile. We also have one for logging a user out of Azure Virtual Desktop. And then coming down to smart forms, we do also have logout user for Azure Virtual Desktop for Smart Forms. The use case for this automation is where effectively someone's locked out of their remote desktop or Azure Virtual Desktop, I should say, connection, and they can't get in, and they might be stuck. Their login stuck. This does happen with these systems. You're able to actually log them out. If you give them the smart form, though, they can do it themselves, and so that's what the scenario is there. It makes it very easy for them to do that. We do also have a couple of other automations here. So bulk calendar permissions for smart forms, and add or remove users from allow list or block list. So we're extending out our base automations for smart forms. We want to give people more smart forms that they can use to empower their clients to service their own requests through that smart forms portal. Finally, I will mention also the AI Auto Start capability in the product, and we've got 2 additional automations in that space. Remember, just a reminder, we did talk about this in a webinar when we launched AI Auto Start, which was 6 months ago now. So just a refresher on this, right? This feature of the product is it allows you to automatically start a diagnostic and troubleshooting process for certain types of tickets as they come through, right? So let's say someone logs a printer issue. Someone logs an issue to your service desk and says, my printer isn't working. I can't print, right? If you have AI Auto Start enabled with the new printer troubleshooting automation, it will automatically go and diagnose that issue. It will connect to the machine using the PIA agent. It will run diagnostic. It will check the print spooler service. It'll check the default printer. It'll even query the printer to see if it's out of ink, right? So we have all that functionality built into the printer troubleshooting automation. And if you have that enabled, it will then do a report. So by the time your engineer opens the ticket, they'll have a diagnostic and troubleshooting report that they can just read and say, oh, that shortcuts my need to log into that machine and check these things. It's already checked it for me. And it might have even solved the problem for you. If you have self-heal enabled on that automation, it can restart the printer spooler service automatically for you. So it might have even solved the problem. These are very powerful diagnostic and troubleshooting, and they should cut down the time that your service desk spends doing this for those types of requests.
Yeah, I can already see some excitement going on. So there you go. More automations for you to do more. All right, so the next one is, so we did cover some of them, and I know there are a few things that we are yet to cover. So let's go through those as well. We do have some new activities for custom dev and extension points, Aaron. So can we talk a little bit about those as well?
Yeah, so this is just briefly covering this, right? More support for people creating custom automations. We have more built-in activities in the platform that allow you to do things that you might have had to write yourself before. We have the ability to send an SMS directly from the platform. We have the ability with your custom automations. We have the ability to get search tickets and ticket cache information, and we also have the ability to update tickets in your PSA. You could do these things right now without these activities, but we're just making them a lot easier by providing you with components that you don't need to create yourself. Extension points as well. Originally, we had extension point support. Extension automations were supported in a handful of PIA out-of-the-box automations, like for user onboarding.
Yeah.
We support extension automations for that. You can create custom automations and extend the user onboarding automation. We're now rolling out support across all of the 60 plus standard automations that PIA provides. So effectively, if you want to create extension automations for any of the automations we provide, or you might want to put an extension on all of the automations. Like let's say every time a PIA automation runs, you want to capture in your PSA on the ticket, change a custom field and say PIA automation ran and the name of it, right? You can now do that with extension points across all automations.
So that's great. Let's move on to our next bit, which is Smart Forms updates. Thanks for all the hearts. I can see,
Couple hearts.
yeah. All right, so let's start with the smart forms one. We know now we know, I know that we provide a set of smart forms as well as the for the MSPs to create their own smart forms now. For the ones that work out of the box, Aaron, have we made any changes to better fit our MSPs, complex environment, their workflows?
Yeah. So out of the box, we have a set of smart forms. We do want to. We are continuously improving, right? How they work and adding things to them. The CSP license procurement. This is a big one. We had a lot of attention on this one, but CSP license procurement is now supported in those smart forms. So we had that for the chatbot automations before. We now have it for smart forms, user onboarding, and offboarding as well. But what that means effectively is if you have zero touch automation enabled on your peer smart forms, it's now covered end to end, right through, fully automated, right through from start to end. For something like a user onboarding, someone will submit a form, to onboard a user, and peer will go and procure the license if there is none available, create the user account, log time to the ticket, and close the ticket. It's complete end-to-end automation. So yeah, that's very powerful. We do also have the increased support for semi-hybrid. We have a lot of MSPs who have this scenario where they've got clients in this semi-hybrid state, where they've got Active Directory on-prem and the cloud Office 365, but they don't have DoSync set up between them. We're supporting more of that as well with smart forms, so increasing that support for that environment.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then we have received a lot of feedback in the last couple of months because a lot of more and more of our partners are using smart forms and they don't want to be, manually giving access to all the users to smart forms. Have we made any changes to support that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps we can see some screen sharing for this because we've got some stuff
Yeah.
to show. Um, so for custom roles, so we've added this ability to create roles in smart forms. One of the most common feedback we get for smart forms is, can you please make it easier to set up and maintain the configuration, right? We want MSPs to, every time a new user gets added in their client, we don't want them to go into smart forms and have to add the user and say they have access to these forms, right? So we started off here by creating roles, which are basically a grouping of forms. So you can create a role like a HR role, for example, say they have access to these smart forms. You can create a manager role, they have access to these smart forms, or a general staff role, and group the forms that they have as well. And then we took that one step further and we've implemented a user sync. And so what this allows you to do is say, well, if I've got a role with access to these forms, I want to automatically synchronize all of my contacts from my PSA for that client to have access to that role, to the forms in that role, right? So you can set up this sync rule and you can say synchronize contact types from, this contact type in ConnectWise, or a custom, contacts with a custom field set in Autotask into this role. Do that every day and it will keep SmartForms configuration up to date for you. And so with that, you can also, if you look at it from an end-to-end perspective, if you're using Peer's user onboarding automation, that actually creates a contact in your PSA for new staff. So you onboard someone new, creates a contact in your PSA. If you have the sync rules set up, that is then synchronized and they're automatically granted access to SmartForms portal. So in your welcome email to them, you can give them a link to SmartForms and they have access day one, right? That is really big for a lot of people. And I'm really expecting to see a lot of usage out of this.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really powerful feature that we have there. And, not having to do it manually just makes it like 1,000 times better.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so in addition to these two features, we do also have some workflow settings. We've changed some of how that works as well. We're just making this easier to manage. So if you're familiar with smart forms, when someone submits a smart form through, Peer's doing the request. We're automating the request, right? And so as we progress through, if we need to ask an engineer a question, you can set a status waiting for engineer on the ticket. If Peer finishes the request, we can set it to closed status, or we can log time and set it to closed.
Yeah.
And we also have some cleanup statuses here as well. So if a smart form is not submitted fully by a user, we can say clean it up after an hour, set it to this status. And that should make it easier for people as well, kind of managing these tickets that are coming through smart forms.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah. And what about the clients that don't want to use multiple links to to submit their request. They don't want to fill out like multiple forms. What do we do about it?
Yeah. So, and the scenario here is, with Peer Smart Forms, it's built to be a forms portal, right? But it is primary job is to get your clients to fill out a form so we can just run the automation and automate the request. You save a lot of time on that, right?
Yeah,
And we all know it also saves the time of, when someone logs a ticket and says, I need a new user for Sarah, and they didn't answer the other 5 questions you need to actually do the request, is a lot of back and forth, right? So Smartform solves these problems. But if you already have something like Cloud Radial that you're using for your ticketing portal, we didn't want people to go, well, should I use Cloud Radial instead of Smartforms, one or the other, or do I have to tell my clients to use both? Here's 2 forms portals, log in and use this one for this stuff and this one for the other stuff, right?
exactly.
That's a really bad experience, and it's hard. We understand that's hard for clients to get, right? So what we did was we worked with Cloud Radial and we effectively launched this seamless integration. So you can continue getting your clients to log in with Cloud Radial, use the ticketing portal like they normally would, but when they go and submit a user onboarding request, for example, it's actually Peer Smart Forms that they are using to submit that request. It submits through, creates the ticket, and automates the request. As easy as that. And the experience is seamless, right? It doesn't feel like we've just sticky taped smart forms into Cloud Radial. You don't have to double authenticate. When you're in Cloud Radial, it's just seamless experience. You fill out the form, submit it, and it just happens. It just works. And your clients won't even know about what smart forms is. They won't even know it exists, right?
That's really
That's
great.
how seamless it is.
Yep, absolutely. That's an awesome feature right there. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to our next update, which is more updates. Now we're getting better at it actually. We don't really, put out these information out more often, but I think our dev team do deserve a shout out. They've been working really hard in the past couple of months and you can see the results actually. We've had over like 300 bug fixes and issues resolved and deployed to the partners, and out of 400 ideas that were submitted by you guys in our ideas portal, we've shipped 88 and 33 ideas have been planned out. So that's actually like a quarter of, the total ideas that have been shipped out or are being planned out. I think that's a huge deal for us. Yeah, what do you think about it, Aaron?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're ever wondering, do we listen? Hopefully, the numbers speak for themselves. One
We do
quarter of
listen.
ideas actually being actioned, which is huge. So, and what I want this message to tell people is, please do log into our ideas portal and upvote ideas. Add your ideas in there for things that you want. Make your voice heard, because that's where we're going to go to get the next batch of things to assess and figure out. It's one of the places we go to figure out really, what are people asking for? What do they want? We do also have something that we didn't cover so far in this update. We've covered a lot of the major features and functionality that we've launched over the past 6 months, and a few of them coming out in releases that are coming out at the moment. But we don't cover all the small stuff. We do heaps of stuff in between that don't get highlighted as much, right? And so there's some special mentions here. I'm gonna call out these ones. The first one is, this was very requested, the ability to customize the SMS template inside the user onboarding and password reset automations. You can now make that say what you want it to say instead of our default text.
That's
We have
awesome.
improved performance of the adoption report, and we've improved the filtering on how the data works in the adoption report. We've improved the scalability and architecture wise on your peer tenants, right? We have some MSPs who are running thousands of automations an hour, right? And they're not necessarily the largest MSPs on our platform, by the way. There's some smaller ones really giving it a run for its money. We've upgraded some things to handle that better. And I would challenge everyone to get the value out of this. See what you can automate more. Push it, right? Push it more. Because we are up to the challenge. Okay, the platform can handle what you need to do with it. And we also have the ability to easily toggle on and off fields in smart forms. That's another minor enhancement, but for a lot of people, this was a huge thing. If you want to use the out of the box smart forms, and you don't want to customize it to the full level where you take a copy of it and build your own version of a user onboarding, for example, we've given you the option to just turn off the fields you don't want in the smart form. I think that's really makes it easier for people
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. So just adding a little bit of flexibility there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now moving on. Um, All right, so those were all the updates that we have. We still have some more, but if you want to know more, always go to our knowledge portal, and we'll have all the release notes laid out there. So let's give you a little bit of sneak peek on what we're about to work next. So the first one is first class approval support. I know that we have some of our partners already using the approval feature in PIA. We do have get approval activity that you can use to get approval before you proceed with an action, but we wanted to put more effort into it, more work into it, so that we give you the first class experience, so that it also supports both chatbot and smart forms automation, and also make sure that the user experience is seamless in terms of configuring the approval, managing approvers, and all of those sort of stuff as well. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So and that's really so you don't have to
Yeah.
create custom automations to get approvals working. We want that to just be a click button experience. We've also our focus for this quarter, a big focus is the developer ecosystem, and so we want to really empower people who are creating their own automations to build more on the platform. I'm not going to share too much here, but I am just going to say two words: API, peer API, and webhooks. Those are the two things that I
Nice.
can share at this point. But we will have, I see love hearts there. We will have a lot more to share about that in a webinar that we're going to do a little bit later on this year as well. Aside from that, just talking about our innovation and our approach to innovation a little bit here. We're going to obviously we're continually innovating, and we're going to continue to innovate on AI triage, around AI triage really being the brain of the platform. So the thing that's analyzing tickets, right? On what decisions we need to make with tickets. What can we do with that ticket? Does it need to be sent for approval? Can we call out to an AI and just get it to send instructions back to the user? Maybe it's something simple, right? That we can just send back to the user and say, hey, have you tried this, right?
Yeah.
Can we automate it? Can we run automations we already have in the platform? So we will continue to innovate in that direction. And that includes effectively, agentic AI, right? So we already have agentic AI in the platform today. That's what AI Auto Start and the combination of that and Triage is. But we will be adding a lot more power into that over the coming 6 to 12 months to really make it so PIA is doing the tickets at a much larger scale than than what you're able to do at the moment. Of course, what you're able to do at the moment is awesome, but it's only going to get better. I can tell you that. I think it'd be good to show everyone, I think, the knowledge portal as well. So you can get onto the knowledge portal, open up those release notes. We do have everything in here. So if you go to news and updates up the top there, you can see our major releases like Platform 18, Automation 11. Those are our major releases. You've got a video covering the release, and you've got detailed release notes here as well. And then right at the bottom, we do also have kind of a roadmap of what's coming in the upcoming release. So we're always telling you what's coming next if you go look at those release notes as well.
So that there's always visibility on what we're working, and if you want to add something, not on the next one, but then, in the future roadmap, you can always make sure that you vote your favorite idea in the ideas portal. That just gives us, that just helps us prioritize what we're going to do next. So that's always useful.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I
All
think
right.
we've talked enough about the updates.
Yes, we have.
Maybe it's time to hear from someone who's implemented Pia, is actually using it.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm very happy that we have a very special guest today. We have Linda from MSP Blue Shift. She is the Chief Operating Officer, and Blue Shift have been using PF for a while. So let's invite her and let's hear her stories as well. Welcome, Belinda.
Hey, how you going?
Good, good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, not too bad. Happy morning, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
All right.
All right. Let's get started. So, I'm gonna ask the first question. Out of all the custom automations you have built, in Blue Shift, what has been the biggest success for you?
I would definitely say automating the new user onboarding process for clients. So we're using smart forms combined with automated PC build workflows. So obviously by capturing all required user details through smart forms and then triggering automated tasks for like account creation, permissions, and device setup, we've cut our PC build and deployment time by over 60%. So this has not only streamlined our internal operations, but it's also delivered a faster, more professional experience for our clients. Particularly around the moves, add changes stuff as well. So particularly around Office 365, having techs not having to log into various platforms to complete jobs, and being able to complete tickets simultaneously has been a game changer for us.
That's awesome.
That's
And
really awesome.
just while we're talking, for anyone who has questions for Belinda, we'll be able to ask some more questions from the chat as well. So please do
Yeah.
put your questions in the chat. I'll go next. My question is, in terms of, I mean, I've heard that you've been able to save a couple of resources and kind of run your service desk with less resources. But I guess what are the tangible benefits that you guys have experienced with Pia?
So I guess for us, I think I've spoken to you guys about this before. It's so Pia is now doing 30% of our help desk work. So for us, that's 2 level 1 techs out of the picture. I mean, no one likes to talk about losing staff, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're in the business to make money. So, that's a saving of over $150,000 a year for us for, implementing Pia. So the costs way about the benefits, definitely.
And I guess to also round out that question, how big is your service? How many staff have you got? So we're talking 2 out of sort of what size?
Yeah, so we have 7 offshore, and we have 5 in our Melbourne office. So potentially we were able to remove 2 staff from offshore and just have a peer triage, so to speak, running by one person that we rotate on a weekly basis that just runs the peer help desk, so to speak.
Yeah, awesome. So that's like 20%, almost 20%, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think for a lot of MSPs, that's almost the difference between losing money and making money, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is what we're all in our game for. Absolutely.
Absolutely, awesome. And in terms of the thing in Pia that's had the biggest impact on your business. So I guess things that versus, so looking at what's available out of the box versus what's available with custom automation. I mean, I know you guys building a lot of custom automation. How much would you say, like you've obviously built a lot of stuff that we don't have out of the box, but are you using the stuff that's out of the box? I mean, is that giving you the value, or do you find you have to build a lot of stuff yourself?
Yeah, I would say definitely for us, out of the box is what we started with. So, we would say start small, and automate the repetitive tasks first, and definitely involve the techs in the process. I mean, for us, we're always doing our adoption reporting around that. So it's looking at what tickets we can automate, what jobs we can automate. We're constantly flagging that and reporting on that every week. And then we kind of look at, what is the noise around that? Is this something that keeps popping up that we can automate? So we set priorities on what we want our automations to be. So I have a developer that works part-time purely on developing products for Pia. that definitely was a game changer for us because that allowed us to gain momentum. Having someone work solely on it, looking into, the reporting, what are the things that we can automate, and then implementing that. Obviously, it improves the efficiency of the way that we're delivering our service to our clients, and certainly around SLA.
Yeah, right.
That's
And so
awesome.
in terms of custom automation, I guess, what are you looking at building next?
So I think the stuffs that we would be looking at would be exploring automation around proactive maintenance. So using PIA to monitor recurring issues and automatically generate remediation tasks before clients even notice a problem is our next goal. We're also looking at integrating PIA with our client CSAT feedback loop to trigger follow-ups based on CSAT scores. That would be
Yep.
the things that are probably the things that we're looking into next. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. Might get some use out of that new sentiment analysis feature then as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
And in terms of advice you would give MSPs just starting out, right? Like if you think about, where you've come from and where you are now, and maybe some lesson challenges that you faced along the way, things you think, well, someone told me that from the start or done that differently, right? But what kind of advice would you give MSPs starting their journey?
I think what I just said previously, it's like start small. So, obviously we did a lot of work around looking at our subtypes and our items and aligning that with PIA. And then we just looked at automating the repetitive stuff first. And then, obviously looking at reporting every week. And then measuring everything. So automation is not only as good as automation is only as good as the outcome it drives. So we then looked at, okay, we segregated PIA from the help desk. So what I found was expecting particular senior techs to start using a new tool like PIA. There was a lot of pushback because they're really set in their ways. So once I created PIA onto a separate board and only had one tech rotating through that weekly, I found the adoption rate up to the 98%. So nothing was getting missed. PIA was, being utilized for every opportunity that it could be. And then, looking at making sure that, you have your reporting set up so you can identify, okay, these are the next steps that we need to take in terms of automation, prioritizing it. And particularly when onboarding new clients as well, kind of allowing them to understand that, hey, we are using this tool. It allows us to efficiently, deliver service better to you, but also around the smart forms. Our clients have been really receptive to that, to be able to enter the information themselves. And we found the accuracy around particularly onboarding new users and PC builds has definitely increased by doing that.
Yeah, awesome. So less rework, escalations, those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, final question, and this one's a bit of a, obviously you've seen all the product update features that we've gone through, and effectively what I want to ask is, what would you want to see as the next feature? What would you want to see if we would have, if
Yeah,
you had to?
sure. So I would probably say, deeper integrations with RMM tools and predictive analytics. If PIA can start suggesting automation opportunities based on ticket trends or client behavior, that would take our service delivery to the next level. Probably also looking at more granular reporting and dashboard customization. That would be cool too.
Yeah, great, awesome. I think there's some of that in it. Definitely, there's some of that in
Yeah.
there. There is.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's all of our questions that we had here. But let's have a look at, maybe we can have a look at the chat and see if there's any questions for Belinda in there as well.
Yep. I can see one. So it's from Glenn. And they're asking, how long have Belinda been on PIA?
So we would be coming up to nearly 4 years now, I believe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
I mean,
great.
not sick of us yet, so we must be doing something right.
No, look, it's been a hard slog, and I think for me initially, particularly, the out of the box stuff is really good, but when you start looking at the bigger picture and obviously what you can implement yourself and what packages you can create, so we're up to nearly 400 packages now. So that's not to say that that's something that it fits into everyone's business model, but when you start looking at the opportunities, they are endless, and obviously you guys are developing more. So, there's more integration, particularly with API access and that type of stuff. So, we're really looking forward to kind of extending that. I would really like to get rid of my dispatcher and, have all that generated through PI. That would be really cool. So
Yeah.
hurry up and get that moving, guys.
Noted. We hear you. We hear you loud and clear. Awesome. Let's see if there's any other questions for Belinda. I think that was that was the question. Yeah. And I think we probably answered, hopefully the questions we asked have answered a lot of questions for people. And they're some of the most common questions that people get as well. And I think hearing them from someone who's actually implemented it and using it and getting that success is super important. Awesome. All right. Well, perhaps we can let you go and we'll do a few more QA questions, but then we'll probably be finishing up.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. See ya.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Belinda. All right.
Awesome.
Now let's get into Q&A. We do have some questions, so we can go through each of them. The first one we've got is, any tips for socially engineering users to engage with the PS system instead of picking up the phone and calling us?
Yes, good question. We do have a feature called AI Auto Reply in SmartForms that allows you to, when a ticket comes in, because we're classifying the ticket, so we're going to say that ticket is a user onboarding or a password reset. If there is a SmartForm available for that and it's switched on and configured, if you turn on AI Auto Reply, it will actually respond. It'll do an auto reply email to the person who is logged that original request within seconds. And it will say, hey, there's actually a smart form you can fill out for this request that will make it easier for you. So fill that out, and they will actually be able to convert their ticket that they logged via email into a smart form request, and it can go through the automation flow, get fully automated. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question, but we do have that feature in the platform.
Yes. Thanks, Aaron, for that. And the next one we've got is, can I use AutoStart with my custom automations?
The answer to that question is yes. We provide 4 AutoStart automations now with the out-of-the-box ones. And absolutely, like with pretty much everything in the PIA platform, you can customize and build your own. So if you want to create an auto start automation, every time that backup alert comes in, do this action. Every time we get a ticket about someone wanting a phone redirect, talk to Ring Central and automatically do the redirect. Or every time we get someone saying, can you add this to the quarantine email list, go and add it to the block list. You can absolutely build all of these things yourselves. And of course, we are coming out with more and more of these as well. We want to build a few more auto start automations as well.
The next one we've got is, when will the SmartForms user sync firm connect via PSA be released?
Good question. That one's being released with Platform 19, and you should get that in the next I will say a few weeks, depending on where you are in the rollout process of that release. So very soon.
So the development has been finished. We're just in the process of rolling out, and so very soon is the answer.
Yes.
And is there an option to deploy multiple software at the same time? Like if we were to deploy an SOE instead of having to select one software at a time?
That's a good question. You can write a custom automation to do that. You absolutely can do that. We use Winget for software deployment on the platform, and we have we're actually a Winget repository. We've got a Winget feed built into the software, so you can upload your software and install the software from Winget. So there's documentation in the knowledge portal on how to do that with Winget and the software deployment functionality. But to achieve kind of SOE deployment, you will need to build kind of a custom automation for that to set that up to do that. But yes, it is absolutely achievable on the platform.
Yes. Now we are running a bit out of time, but we do have a few more questions, Aaron. Should we just go through them? If you guys want to hang around for a couple of more minutes, we can go through more questions.
Do we have any more? I think we might have gone through all of them.
We do.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, maybe we can finish up first, just for everyone who needs to drop off. Do you want to go to the next slide and we'll just cover that off? Yes. So for everyone who needs to drop off, I want to point out as well, this was an update. Anyone who's using Pia obviously will know what these features are and have a bit more context. For anyone who's seeing this for the first time, this is not a demo. Please do go talk to our sales team, and they will give you a personalized demo. You can get all your questions answered through them, because there really is a lot here, and there's a lot that you'll pick up better from a start to finish demo, rather than necessarily the updates that we've just gone through.
Exactly.
So you've got the ability to book that sales demo, and you can use the QR code up the top there to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. If anyone's leaving, thank you so much for joining and just listening to us. Now we can go through those extra questions, Aaron, if you would like.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one we've got is for the approval feature. You said it would allow approval support for any automation on the platform. Does that include for smart forms and clients to manage approvals?
Yeah, so the first class approval support that we want to build, we're going to start with settings that allow MSPs to configure and set up approvers within the portal. So that's the ability to say, well, settings like when it sends out for approval, should it go to one person? Should it go to a group of people? Should it wait for all approvers to approve or one? Is there an escalation flow? Like if this person doesn't respond, go to this next person. That kind of functionality is the functionality we want to focus on. And that we want to focus on that across smart forms automations and Pia chatbot automations. In terms of the actual setup of approvers, we'll be starting with the MSP's ability to do that. We are considering also people saying like, but I want my clients to be able to add and remove approvers and change approval settings. We are also considering that for the smart forms portal as well. That's part of our consideration at this point.
Yep, absolutely. The next one we have is, this is an interesting one. We use Thread for our ticket processing. Are you planning to integrate with Thread? Ooh.
Are we planning to integrate with Thread? We get a lot of questions about Thread. Thread is what they're doing. If you haven't seen Thread for MSPs, have a look that up. What they're doing is very aligned with how we see things and our vision as well. So we are. All I can say about that one is we are working with Thread, and we will announce something soon.
Yeah. So you guys just have to wait for that one. I think this is the last one for today's session. So what other smart forms portal integrations options are you planning on?
Good question. So yes, we've rolled out Cloud Radial to start with. We will be extending that to. We're planning to extend that to Desk Director at this point as the next one, and we're also looking at the Halo PSA Forms portal as well as something we've received a lot of feedback about that one. So yeah, we'll be considering that one as well.
Yeah. Okay, I think those are all the questions that we've got. So that kind of brings us to the end of today's product update webinar. We have gone through where you can book a demo. So that's everything we have packed for you for today. So huge thanks to Aaron for walking us through the incredible work that the whole dev team has been doing and that you've been doing. Thanks to all of you who have joined and who have been engaging with us. Thank you so much for sending those likes and hearts and all the emojis that we can see. It's very exciting and encouraging to see that. And also don't forget that the recording will be available for you, so you can watch it later and then also pass it on to your colleagues. So yeah, thanks again.